it for 4 o'clock this afternoon. If not, well, then welcome. Um, I bought this from Goodreads. It was only $5, and I thought, I'm just going to buy it and I'm going to look into it. Well, I have. I just got it today, and I've been looking into it, and this is extremely interesting. But there's a lot of things that I'm not understanding either. So I'm hoping that this does air at 4 o'clock as I have set, and I can go into chat and hoping. I mean, I have no idea. I don't have a big following, which is not about a big following. It's about the people that do listen and do put input and suggestions and things that I appreciate because that helps me with my learning as well. So anyway, this is Poor Richard's 17 is it, and that's the thing that I'm kind of confused on. Is it 1733 an almanac for the year of Christ, or is it I 733? Because that is an I right there, and I also have my little cool groovy thing here so we could see as go through. So anyway, this is being the first year after leap year. So there was a leap year. So that I found that to be interesting too. And let's see. And let's see, being the first after leap year and makes since the creation. So since the creation, 1733. And let me get right here. So I hope I'm not going to confuse anybody because that is not my intention. It looks like, by the account of the Eastern Greeks, it has been 7,241 years since creation. I think that's what it's saying. And see, now this is where I need y'all's help to help me understand exactly what it is saying, because that's what it looks like to me. And that is the account of the Eastern Greeks. The Latin Church, 6,932 years. Then what's that word? Computation of WW, not sure what that is, 5,142 years. By the Roman chronology, 5682 years. And by the Jewish rabbis, 5494. So I'm thinking what this is saying to me, and again, your input is really appreciated, because this is a mystery to me that I would like to understand. Not so I could be knowledgeable. That's not it. Just so I can understand the the timeline, these things that's being taught, pre-trib, post-trib, mid-trib, amillennialism, preterism, historicism, and now little season. So I want to get an idea, an understanding. That's very important to me. And only God can give me the wisdom. But I do believe that he brings us all together. So because each one can hold a little piece to the great big puzzle. Because if we all had the finished puzzle in our hand, would be kind of prideful. Think about it. So that way all of us can pitch in, so to speak, and learn from one another. And that keeps us all humble. That's how I look at it. So anyway, I'm not super intelligent. I've said that before. Okay, so being the first after leap year and makes since the creation. So by the account of the Eastern Orthodox, they are saying that it's been 7,241 years since creation. That's from the Eastern Orthodox point of view. From the Latin Church, their point of view is 6,932 years. Okay. By the computation of WW, not sure exactly who WW is, but by their computation, it's only been 5,742 years. By the Roman chronology, 5,682 years. By the Jewish rabbis, at this time, they were saying it had been 5,494 years. I find that to be interesting. Okay, wherein is contained. So what's contained in this little booklet that I bought is the lunations, the eclipse, the judgment of the weather, spring tides, planets' motions and mutual aspects, sun and moons, rising and setting, the length of days, time of high water, fairs, courts, and observable days. Now, when I read the first time off of the what is that called, Lord? A PDF that I had downloaded of Poor Richard's Almanack. I had stated I had no idea the almanac really is kind of like divination. That's the way I look at it. I had no idea because we all grew up with a farmer's almanac, and I never once thought, because in the farmer's almanac you could look at it and it'd be like, oh, for the year 2025 it's going to be a great year for growing or whatever. I never looked at that as divination. I had no idea, honest to God. So let's keep that in the back of our mind also. Um, Fitted to the latitude of 40 degrees and a meridian of 5 hours west from London, but may without sensible error serve all the adjacent places, even from Newfoundland to South Carolina, by Richard Saunders. And it was in Philadelphia. And this right here was printed and folded by Benjamin Franklin, by the way, at the new printing office near the market. So this right here is, oh, as a matter of fact, let me see right here. I forgot this one yesterday. I got this one today. This right here is a little copy of Poor Richard's Almanack, Benjamin Franklin, introductory by Paul A. Volcker. And I found that to be interesting too. So anyway, I got that. That was $5. This was $5. And honestly, I'm thinking this one right here, it should have been more. I'm gleaning a lot of information. I don't know if you will or not. So anyway, this right here is talking about of the eclipses. And that's an I, by the way. That is not a 1. So it's I 733. And I find that extremely interesting. I don't even know what to say on that. Honestly, it's just bizarre to me. It's just bizarre to me. So anyway, this right here, it says this year there will be 4 eclipses, 2 of the sun and 2 of the moon. Now this is supposed to be in 733 or 1733, however you want to read it. But it is written as I 733, just to let you, it's written I 733. The first will be an eclipse of the sun, May 2nd, visible about 12 o'clock, digits eclipse 2.5. The second will be on May 17th, about 2 in the afternoon, wherein the moon will be eclipsed, nor visible here. The third will be on October 26th, about 11 in the morning, a small eclipse of the sun, invisible. The fourth will be on November 10th, a little after 6 in the morning. It begins an eclipse of the moon, above half of which will be darkened. So that's very interesting. Now, this is where I'm stuck, and I'm hoping y'all can help me understand. Guys, I am not educated, and I'm not knocking myself on. I'm just being truthful, and this is reality. I never finished the 10th grade, okay? So I've never completed high school. I've obviously never went to college or anything like that. So all that I do understand and know, I really have to give all glory and praise to Abba Father for opening things up to me by his precious Holy Spirit, because other than that, I would know nothing. I would know nothing. So, and I'm leaning on him for understanding on this also, and to give me the wisdom, which I know that he will do. Okay, so this right here is the chronology of things remarkable, he says. And then it's comma. Now I want you to look here. This is so important. Do you see that? It says I 733. And it says years since. So this is interesting here. Years since of the birth of Jesus Christ. I 733. So they're saying that he was born in the year 0, it sounds like. Right? Is that what it's saying to me? I'm thinking it is, but please help me out here. I don't want to misunderstand. And then Jerusalem was taken by the Romans in I 660. Tower of London built in I 164. And then I found this to be quite interesting. They dropped the I. Now, don't you find that to be odd? They dropped the I right here. Now, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just too curious or something. But why did they drop the I? Let's keep going. The 5th mayor of London, 543. London Bridge built with stone, 524. That's amazing. Think about that. How did they do that? Doesn't that go over water? I don't know. The invention of guns by a monk in 364. Not 364, forgive me. I'm so sorry. Now I understand it. Thank you, Holy Spirit. This is not the years. This is how many years since 733. Is that how that's worded, Jesus? I think so. Years since. Years since. Okay, so let me figure this out. The birth of Jesus Christ, I 733, right? Jerusalem taken by the Romans in 660. So I think we are going to, hopefully I have a calculator on here. Can't say I do, can't say I don't. I don't know if I do or not. I'm going to check and see. So here we go. Calculator. Yes, I do. Okay. So I'm thinking what this is saying is the birth of Jesus Christ. So the chronology of things remarkable in I 733. Years since the birth of Jesus Christ, it had been I 733. So we're just going to put 733 here and we're going to minus. That's since the birth of Christ. Jerusalem taken by the Romans, and that would have been in 660. So that was 73 years. But that makes no sense to me. That makes no sense because when Jesus Christ was born, Rome had already taken over Jerusalem and all that. It had already been done. Yeah. I know there was King Herod. I know that wanted to kill Jesus. And so 2 years after the birth of Christ, he sent people to go kill all the children from 2 years old and under. And that was Herod. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know what that's saying to me. So if you guys understand what it's saying, please help me out because I don't know what that's saying to me. So let me put this off to the side. Math was never my strong point ever, and it still is not. All right, so here we go. So years since I 733. 733 years since that time, this book was written here, was the birth of Christ. 660 years since 733, Jerusalem taken by Rome. I-164, Tower of London built. 540 years since 733, first mayor of London. 364, the invention of guns by a monk. The art of printing found out by a soldier. Really? 293 years since 733. Great Massacre in France, 161 years since 733. Spanish Armada burnt, 145 years since 733. King James I laid the first stone of Chelsea, Coll. I'm not sure what that means, and has 124 years since 733. Gunpowder plot, 122 years since 733. The plague of London, whereof did, and I believe that says 5,000, or no, 30,000 people died. Wow, since 733. Long Parliament began November 3rd, I-640, and so that was 93 years since 733. Rebellion in Ireland, October 23rd, I-641. That was 92 years since 733. King Charles I beheaded, and that was 85 years since 733. Oliver Cromwell died September 3rd, I-658, 75 years since 733. That's not making any sense to me. Since 75 years since, sense. That don't make any sense to me. Guys, that's not making any sense to me. Please, if you have any understanding of this, that would really help. Because it says chronology of things remarkable in I 733. And then it says years since. Years since 733. Why does this? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. The Great Plague of London, whereof died 100,000 people. I had no idea. Wow. 67 years since. The Great Sea Fight between the Dutch and the English. 60 years since, it looks like. Let me turn this page here. I don't want to make anyone sick by moving like I am. I'm so sorry. Okay. The peace between the English and the Dutch, 66 years since. Snowed 11 days together, 59 years since. And this Oates plot began 1678, 55 years since. King James II declared for liberty of conscience, 46 years since. What is that right there? The 7 bishops sent to the Tower. Oh, wow. 45 years since. King William III reduced Ireland. 43 years since. What does that say? Gibraltar taken July 24th. 29 years since. Huh. England and Scotland united May 1st. 26 years since. And these must be something that went on together, I'm assuming. It says 3 whole bullocks roasted on the ice on the Thames, January 19th, 1716. And that was 17 years since. Christopher Columbus found America, 242 years since. Now, see, this makes no sense. Why is it now going back up and not down, like it's going down there and now it's going up? Is that where? I don't know, guys. I'm just speculating here because I don't know. But is this when the Gregorian calendar kicked in, or the lunar calendar? Was it the lunar? No, I don't know. Honest to God, I don't know. If you guys know, that would be great. So anyway, it goes back up. I don't know why. Newfoundland discovered by the English in 208 years since. The first use of coaches in England, 177 years since. Captain Drake's voyage around the world, 156 years since. Tobacco, first taken in England, 151 cents. Sir Walter Raleigh found and named Virginia, 147 years since. Virginia, first planted by the English in 127 cents. Since 1733. We got to remember that. It's since 1733, they're saying. Newfoundland, first planted 124 years since. New York, first settled 119 years since. Barbados, first planted in 117 years since. Barbados, let's see. Now, what's that one? Let me look that up because I don't know exactly what that is. Nevis? First planted? I don't know what Nevis is. It's right here. First planted 105 years since 173 or 733. Maryland, first settled 103. Caroline, first planted 65. Jamaica, taken from the Spaniards 78. New York, Albany, and Newcastle, taken by England 71. The building of Burlington, 56 years. Pennsylvania, first so named, 51. Philadelphia, first founded, 50. The city of Amboy, laid out, 50. The Great Flood at Delaware Falls, 41. The Great Earthquake in Jamaica, and that says June 7th, 41. And that had been 40 years since 733. The post office created in America, and that was 39 years since 733. The hard winter, which continued till March 4th, that was 35 years since 733. The great snow, about a year deep. That's deep, guys. That's real deep. That was in I believe that's a 5, but I'm not positive. No, it don't look like a 5, does it? So 28 maybe? Possibly? No, because the 8 up there doesn't look like that. So I'm not sure what that letter is beside that too. The last wet harvest, let's see, the last wet harvest, the like not seen here, 14 years since 733. Prince Frederick Town laid out 7 years since 733. King George II proclaimed June 15th, 6 years after 733. Okay, now this right here is the Benedict of going to law. And I'm sure this right here is just like a little funny thing. Honestly, that's because he was a humorous person, I suppose you want to call him. And it says dedicated to the counties of K slash slash slash. So I'm not sure who he's dedicating this to. Two beggars traveling along, one blind, the other lame, picked up an oyster on the way, to which they both laid claim. The matter rose so high that they resolved to go to law, as often richer fools have done, who quarreled for a straw. A lawyer took it straight in hand, who knew this, and who knew his business was to mine nor one nor to other side, but make best over cause. As always in the laws, the cafe, so he his judgment gave, and lawyer like be thus resolved what each of them should have. Blind plaintiff, lame defendant, share the friendly law's impartial care. A shell for him, a shell for thee. The middle is the lawyer's fee. That is just funny. I can't help it. That's so funny. That is just hilarious. Okay. So anyway, in the courts in 1733, which is really not 1733. He's writing this in 1730. How's that work, Jesus? He's writing this in 1734 about the year that had just passed. I believe I don't know. I could be totally off on that. Anyway, the Supreme Courts in Pennsylvania are held at Philadelphia the 10th day of April and the 24th day of September. Courts of quarter sessions are held at Philadelphia the first Monday in March, June, September, and December. At Newtown in Bucks County on the 11th day following, inclusive in every of months aforesaid. At Chester and last Tuesday in May, August, November, and February. At Lancaster, the first Tuesday in each. Courts of common pleas are held. At Philadelphia, the first Wednesday after the quarter sessions in March, June, September, and December. At Newton, the 9th day following, inclusive in every of the months aforesaid. Very interesting. Okay, I'm going to put the phone down for a minute and let me see what else we can figure out here. If we can figure out anything, I have no idea. Of what's going on in this year of seven. I don't know if it's 1733 or I-733, like I said. Guys, I mean, to me, I'm not even saying to me. I'm saying flat out, that's an I. That's an I. And it says I-733 right here by Benjamin Franklin. It's I-733. So I don't know. I don't know. And like I said, I got that book also. But those are just like the little, I don't know, the little funnies that the man had written, I'm assuming you want to say. Anyway, this is Courteous Reader. Let's read this. Courteous Reader, I'm going to put you down. Courteous Reader, I might in this place attempt to gain thy favor by declare that I write almanacks with no other view than that of the public good. But in this I should not be sincere. But in this I should not be sincere. And men are nowadays too wife to be deceived by pretenses, how specious forever. The plain truth of the matter is I am I am excessive poor, and my wife, good woman, is, I tell her, excessive proud. She cannot bear, she says to, she cannot bear, she says, to sit spinning in her shift of tow while I do nothing but gaze at the stars, and has threatened more than once to burn all my books and rattling traps, as she has called my instruments. If I do not make one, no, if I do not make some profitable use of them for the good of my family. The printer has offered me some considerable share of the profits, and I have thus begun to comply with my dame's desire. Indeed, this motive would have had force enough to have made me publish an almanac many years since, and it had it not been overpowered by my regard for my good friend and fellow student, Mr. Titan Leeds, whose interest I was extremely unwilling to hurt. But this obstacle, I am far from speaking it with pleasure, is soon to be removed, since inexorable death, who has never known to respect, no, who was never known to respect merit, has already prepared the mortal dart, the fatal sifter, who has already extended her destroying shears, and that ingenious man must soon be taken from us. He dies, but my calculations made at his request on October 17th, 1733, or I 733, at 3 hours and 29 minutes p.m., at the very instant of, and I don't know what these things are. Like, these are, I don't know what they are. I don't know if they're constellation. I have no idea. I'm not an astrologer. I'm not an astrologist. I'm not an I'm not into any of that. So I really have no idea. But that's what it looks like. By his own, let me show you so you'll see what I'm talking about right there. Those funny looking things right there. You see that under the I 733. It looks like a six, but it's not. And then there's a zero with a dart in the middle or something. I don't know what that stuff is. I have no clue whatsoever. I'm totally ignorant to it. So I don't need to know. As therefore, these Providence may not longer expect to see any of his performances after this year, I think myself free to take up the task and request a share of the public encouragement, which I am the more apt to hope for on this account. That the buyer of my almanac may consider himself not only as purchasing a useful utensil, but as performing an act of charity to this poor friend and servant, R. Saunders. So that right there is the beginning of this little book. Explanation of the almanac. The first column shows the days of the month. Oh, and that's over there. So I'm not going to get into that because, guys, I mean, I'm already way over my head in understanding on this. That's why I brought it to you guys, because I know that you guys probably understand this and help me to understand it. Now, over here, this is interesting. I thought was very interesting. This is the Table of Kings from the time that England was first so called by King Egbert, right? Now, I found this to be quite interesting. King Egbert, he was a Saxon, 818, and I'm thinking it says that he reigned 28 years, but I'm not positive, but I think that's what it says. And then Ethelwulf, 836, 21 years. Ethelbald, God help us, 857. Ethelbert, and then Ethelfred, and then there's Alfred in 873. Yeah, guys, I mean, it's saying 8, isn't it? I don't know. Ethelton, 924. Edmund the First, 940. Alfred, Edwin, Edgar, Edward the Second, Ethelred, Edmund the Second. Danish line down here. There's a Danish line. So is that from the tribe of Dan, guys? Is that? I'm not sure. Danish line. Canatus the First, Harold, Canatus the Second, Edward, Confessor. I think that's what this says. Harold the Second, Norman line. And this is the Norman line. W. Conqueror, W. Rufus, Henry the First, Stephen, and then here's the Saxon line again. Henry the Second, Richard the First, John. And over here, Henry the Third, Edward the First, Edward the Second, Edward the Third, Richard the Second, Lancaster line, Henry the Fourth, Henry the Fifth, Henry the Sixth, York line, Edward the Fourth, Edward the Fifth. Does that say Edward? Does that say the third there? It kind of looks like the third, doesn't it? Families United, Henry the Seventh, Henry the Eighth, Edward the Sixth, Queen Mary one, Queen Elizabeth. Kingdoms United, James one, Charles one, Charles two, James two, Queen Mary two, William the Third, Queen Anne, George one, George two, and then after that, whom God prefers. I love that. That's awesome. That is pretty awesome. So anyway, here we go. Um, see, let me. All right. So is that an I or is that a one, guys? Help me out here. Why does it look like an I? I don't understand that. Honestly. I mean, I'm not here. Can we do that and do this all at the same time? Yeah. I don't know if that'll work, guys. Let's see. No, that ain't gonna work, is it? Let's see that. Doesn't that like right there where it says Henry the Fourth? Doesn't that look like a smaller number that resembles an I and then 399? Or am I totally off the wall here? Let's find a one. Is there a one? Right here. Right here. Now, guys, what's up with that? Seriously. Am I mistaken on what I'm seeing? Because I don't want to see something that's not there. I do not want to see something that's not there. I do not want that happening at all. All right, so right here, right here. That looks like two ones, right? Or two eyes. So maybe that is how they right over here. That's a one. Am I correct? So that's a one. That is a one. That's not an I, right? Or I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Forgive me for babbling. I don't mean to babble because I don't know. I don't understand. And then on this page we got January, and it says how many days are in the months too, which I found to be extremely cool. January, I believe it said 31. Yep, 31 days. February, 28 days. March, 31 days. April, 30 days. May, 31. So I thought that was pretty cool. June 30, July 31. And then above all of this is, let's see, right here. It says, January, more nice than wife. Old bachelor would have a wife that's wife, fair, rich, and young, a maiden for his bed. Not proud, nor churchilleth, I don't know what that word is, but of faultless size, a country housewife in the city bred. He's a nice fool and long in vain hath said. He should beseech her. There's none ready made. I don't know what on earth none that means. I think it's crazy or something. I don't know. February, it says, country, pray, don't be angry with poor Richard. Each age of men knew, what's that word? What is that word right there? Each age of men new fashions doth invent, things which are old young men do not esteem. What pleased our fathers doth not us content, what flourisheth then we out of fashion deem. And that's the reason, as I understand, why Prodigus did fell his father's land. Prodigus. In March it says, my love and I for kisses played, she would keep sakes, I was content. But when I won, she would be paid. This made me ask her what she meant. Quoth she, since you are in this wrangling vein, here take your kisses. Give me mine again. I don't know what on earth. April, it says, kind Catherine to her husband kisses these words. Mine own sweet Will, how dearly I love thee. If true, quoth Will, the world no such affords, that it's true I durst his warrant be. But never heard I of woman good or ill, but always loved hell. Hell? No. Always loved belt, her own feet will. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. May. Mirth pleaseth some, to others 'tis offense. Some commend plain conceit, some profound sense. Some with a witty jest, some dislike that. What and moult would have themselves, they know not. That he would have pleased all, and himself too, takes more in hand than he is like to do. These are just like little cute sayings, I guess. It has nothing to do with a month that was going on. Yeah, so June. Observe the daily circle of the fun, and the short year of each revolving moon. By them thou shalt foresee the following day, nor shall a starry night thy hope betray. When first the moon appears, if then she shrouds her silver crescent tipped with fabled clouds, conclude she bodes a tempest on the main, and brews her fields impetuous floods of rain. How weird. And in July, it says, even while the reaper fills his greedy hands and binds the golden sheaf in brittle bands, oft I have seen a sudden storm arise from all the warring winds that sweep the skies, and oft whole sheets defend a fluency rain, sucked by the spongy cloud from off the main. The lofty skies at once come down pouring down, the promised crop in golden labors drown. Makes no sense. I don't know why he even wrote all these little things. All right, we got August. For us, through 12 bright signs, Apollo guides. The year and earth in several climes divide. 5 girdles bind the skies, and torrid zone glows with the passing and repassing sun. Far on the right and left, the extremes of heaven to frost and snows and bitter blast are given. Betwixt the midst and these God assigned to habitable feats for humankind. How weird. September. Death is a fisherman, the world we feed, the world we see. His fifth pond is, and we the fifth be. His net some general sickens, however he is not so kind as other fishers be. For if they take one of the smaller fry, they throw him in again. He shall not die, but death is sure to kill all he can get, and all is fifth with him that comes to net. I don't get it, you guys, October. Time was my spouse, and I could not agree, striving about superiority. The text was faith that man and his wife are one was the chief argument we stood upon. She held they both one woman should become. I held they should be man and both but one. Thus we contended daily, but the strife could not be ended till both were one wife. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right. November. My neighbor H, I'm thinking it's Harry, by his pleasing tongue, hath won a girl that's rich, wife fair and young. The match, he saith, is half concluded. He indeed is wondrous willing, but not she. And reason good, for he has run through almost the story of the prodigal. Yet swears he never with the hogs did dine. That's true, for none would trust him with their swine. Oh, God. That's funny. I'm sorry, but that was funny. All right, December. She that will eat her breakfast in bed and spend the morn in dressing of her head, and sit at dinner like a maiden's bride, and talk of nothing all day but of pride. God in his mercy may do much to save her, but what a cafe he is in that shall have her. Oh, but what a case is he in that shall have her. How very interesting. Anyway, so that right there is the little booklet. The majority or the main thing I was curious about is the years that I was telling you, the year since. The chronology of things remarkable, I 733 or 1733 years since, and it says the birth of Jesus Christ, 1733, or is it I 733? I can't answer that. I do not know. And then taken by Romans, Jerusalem, and I 60. And so it goes on down. Like I said, it's very interesting. I don't completely understand it. I don't think I understand it at all. But if y'all do, help me understand it. So until next time, keep your eyes on Jesus, brothers and sisters, and your nose in the book, which is the Word of God. And let us, you and me, embed the Word of God upon the tablets of our hearts, so we will not sin against God or be deceived. Let us not be a hearer only of the word, but let us be a doer of the word. Time is short, guys. I believe that with all my heart. So if y'all can figure that out, if that is that an I, is that a one, I don't know. Help me figure it out. Love y'all. Bye-bye.